What's good, YouTube? Man, we back with another reaction video. This is the best sports reaction channel on YouTube, man. So make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We about to react to sports records that will never be broken. So this should be a good video. I learned something new every time I react to like the non-sports. What's it called? Non-stop sports. They be having some fire on here, man. Make sure y'all tap in, so hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. That's gonna help me out with the YouTube algorithm, so my video can be pushed out. So make sure y'all hit that like button. Should be trying to get the channel to 10K subs. I just hit 5,000, so we on our way to 6,000. I appreciate y'all, man. I ain't gonna talk y'all ears off, man. Let's get it.
With great advancements in technology and sports science, there aren't that many sports records that stood the test of time. Records are there to be broken, but not these 10 records, which were set with the untouchable mix of longevity and greatness. Here are the most unbreakable records in sports. Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points in a game. There are two numbers commonly associated with Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, that might not be broken. Kobe could have got that shit though.
Before he played the highest scoring game in NBA history,
Kobe could have got that shit.
Wilt went out in New York as he
How y'all feel about that?
And successfully added another point to the 20,000 tally. At 6 a.m., he kissed her goodbye and hopped on the first train to Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Warriors played against the Knicks that evening in a small high school gym in Hershey because the NBA was trying to popularize the game outside big cities. And that's why there isn't any videotape of that game. Underslept, having partied all night, Wilt went on to score 100 points against the Knicks, shooting 63 times from the field, and making an astonishing 28 out of 32 free throws.
That's great. He was a fucking machine.
The most precise game Wilt ever had from the line.
Fucking machine.
Despite the heavy barrage of threes in the modern NBA, no player will ever shoot 63 times in one game.
Facts.
Bradley Beal led the league last season with only 23 field goal attempts on average. In the last 30 years, there have been only 28 games where a player attempted 40 or more shots, and only one game when a player had attempted 50 shots. And that was Kobe in 2016 in his last NBA game. There are players in the NBA capable of scoring 100 points, great shooters like KD, Curry, or Harden. But I don't see anybody shooting 60 times in the modern NBA. And that's why Wilt's record is unbeatable.
That makes sense.
Wayne Gretzky, 2008.
Yeah, I heard his shit crazy.
There are sports where the title of GOAT causes
they said his shit is like crazy as fuck.
Wars and lively arguments. Jordan or LeBron, Messi or Ronaldo, Federer or Djokovic, Tiger or Jack. Seemingly every sport has the GOAT discussion, but ice hockey is not one of them. There is only one answer when the GOAT in hockey is mentioned, and the only discussion is who the guy that came the closest to the great one, as Wayne Gretzky is often referred to. A point in hockey is awarded for each goal a player has scored or assisted on. Gretzky is the all-time NHL leader in goals scored and produced assists. He is the only NHL player to total over 200 points in one season, a feat he accomplished 4 times. 200
points in one season?
Gretzky retired with 61 NHL records to his name, and his 2,857 career points is probably the most unbreakable of them all. Gretzky is the only player ever to score over 2,000 points, and Jaromir Jagr, who is second on the all-time list, trails by a whopping 936 points.
Damn.
Ovechkin and Crosby, arguably the greatest two players of this millennium, don't have as many points combined as Gretzky does on his own.
That's crazy.
Lionel Messi, 91 goals in a year.
Messi. We got an ad coming up. We got an ad, y'all. Yeah, man, it's a good video so far, man. Great video.
European clubs play around 50 games each season, and only the top teams score more than 100 goals in a season, while the average teams score between 60 and 70 goals in a year. When they were at peak form, the greatest strikers in history scored between 35 and 50 goals in a year, but almost nobody averaged over 1 goal per game. Nobody, until he showed up. Messi became the first player to average 1 goal per game year after year, and that's why he is often considered the greatest player ever. But what Messi did in 2012 was the best season anybody's ever played, and it's hardly ever going to be repeated. Leo scored 91 goals in 2012 for Barcelona and Argentina, appearing in 69 games, which means he averaged 1.3 goals per game.
That's tough.
Messi outscored 60% of all clubs in the Spanish league in the 2012 season. And if we had 29 assists he had that year, he produced more goals by himself than almost any team in the world. Cy Young, 749 complete games, and 511
You know
wins.
he the GOAT.
Cy Young was a baseball player.
So this the trophy named after.
Retired in 1911. As you can probably imagine, 110 years ago, baseball was a bit different than it is today, which enabled Young to set several records that still stand today. During his era, pitchers were regularly throwing the entire game, and there was no load management. While today's pitchers throw every 4 or 5 days, Young and the guys from the early 1900s often played day after day. Cy retired with an incredible 749 complete games and equally impressive 511 wins. In his honor, the best pitchers of each MLB season are awarded the Cy Young Award.
Right.
Jerry Rice, 22,095
Jerry Rice,
receiving yards,
that's
197 receiving touchdowns.
Damn.
If you need somebody to catch a
lot of fucking yards and a lot of fucking touchdowns.
Jerry Rice. Okay, now you'd probably be better off with someone like Travis Kelce or DK Metcalf, because Jerry Rice is almost 60 years old. But in his prime, forget about it. There was nobody better than Jerry. Rice led the NFL in receiving touchdowns 6 times, and is the owner of almost every career wide receiver record there is. Thanks to his incredible work ethic, on top of great natural ability, Rice was able to last and be productive more than every other receiver in history. His 22,895 career receiving yards,
that's crazy.
5,403 yards ahead of Larry Fitzgerald in second place. With 197 career touchdown receptions, Rice has 41 more TDs than Randy Moss, the next person on the list. Cal Ripken Jr., 2,632 consecutive games played.
Damn, that's a lot of fucking games played.
Most people first think of Robert Downey Jr. Some people also think of the Iron Man race.
No, real Iron Man.
Sports events in the world. But for baseball fans, Iron Man is associated with Cal Ripken Jr., a shortstop and third baseman who never missed a game for the first 17 seasons of his 21-year career. Between his debut for the Orioles in 1981, Ripken played through all the minor injuries and was always at the team's disposal until he voluntarily decided to sit out the final game of the 1998 season. At one point early in the streak, Ripken played 8,243 consecutive innings, shattering the previous record of 5,152.
That's insane, bro.
Years. During Cal's 17-year streak, other players notched 5,045 different entries to the disabled player list, while the Iron Man kept playing. Bill Russell, 11 NBA titles.
Yeah.
Skill-wise, Bill Russell is not the greatest player ever, and not even the best.
22 rounds.
Guys like Kobe, Harden, or Hakeem Olajuwon had infinitely more offensive moves and were far superior scorers. Bill wasn't the strongest, and if he played against prime Shaq, he would be outweighed by more than 100 pounds by the Diesel. The result would probably be barbecue chicken with Shaq licking his fingertips. However, despite all the great NBA players, nobody embodied winning more than Bill Russell. Russell won 11 titles in 13 years, which puts all the other statistical feats aside. Sure, Russell played in a league with 8 teams. He'd often had to win just one playoff series to reach the finals, and his Celtics were loaded with talent. However, the rules were the same for everybody, and the great Bill got the job done almost every time, and his record will likely stay untouched forever. Brett Favre, 321 consecutive starts.
That's a lot of starts in the NFL.
Now, there are 17 games in an NFL regular season, compared to 16 when Brett Favre played. With potential 3 or 4 more games in the playoffs, every NFL player has a maximum of 21 opportunities to suit up each year. That means that if anybody would break Favre's record of 321 consecutive starts, he'd have to play at least 17 seasons in the NFL. That player would also have to stay perfectly healthy, which is almost impossible, and he'd also have to be really, really good so that he keeps his starting spot while nearing his 40th birthday.
That's a lot of factors.
Eli Manning was the person who came the closest to breaking Favre's record, but Eli was still 100 games short of breaking Brett's record when his starting streak ended. Jack Nicklaus, 18 major wins. When a young Tiger Woods kept piling on the majors at the turn of the millennium, everybody thought that it's only a matter of time before Nicklaus's record of 18 major wins would be broken. However, injuries and personal scandals slowed down Tiger, whose major count stopped at 15. And if Tiger couldn't catch the Golden Bear, and with the ever tighter competition at the top, it seems like Jack's record is there to stay. Pete Rose,
Rose.
4,256 career hits.
Man, that's a lot of
24
fucking
years
hits.
in the MLB, and 17 All-Star
Did he get caught
appearances.
cheating? No.
Pete Rose's longevity at the top produced a lot of records in baseball. Most career games played, winning games played, most career singles, outs, runs by a switch hitter, and many more. But the most unbreakable record is probably the number of career hits with 4,256, where he is among only 2 players to achieve over 4,000 hits in their career,
Crazy.
and one of only 32 that have over 3,000 career hits. Only one active player is among those 32.
Albert Pujols.
And that's Albert Pujols, aged 41. So Pete's record is
That's my favorite player.
and it
Like
hardly
one of
ever
them.
will be.
You know, I know I'm a Cardinals fan. Yeah, that was a good ass. That was a fucking amazing video. Fuck this shit on. But that was a fucking amazing ass video, man. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a lot. I learned some shit. I learned a few things on this video. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be people that learn some shit on this video too. But make sure y'all tap in. Make sure y'all subscribe. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I know y'all enjoyed this. This was fire, especially if you was a real sports junkie. But yeah, man, make sure y'all tap in. Make sure y'all subscribe. Man, we try to get to 10K subs. I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay safe, stay tuned, and we out.